Hey guys, I don't normally do this rant type of videos, but I think this time it kinda deserves it, and I actually wanna do it as a PSA sort of way. I know that a lot of big YouTubers and a lot of people have talked about this, and it's already been shown to pretty much everyone that wants to understand this, but I still wanna show this to the few people that might watch my videos that might end up thinking that this could be good without doing any research. So please check this video out. It's gonna be not that long, and I wanna bash these guys because these guys are fucking frauds and they don't deserve a cent of our money. We've talked about this in the TCX podcast, the Console Explosion podcast in the past. I'm gonna leave the link in the description below. And I've done a weekly wrap-up where I talk about I actually rant, and I'm gonna give a lot of the same points in this video, but I still wanna do them because, again, I want people to understand that this is truly something that no one should invest their money in. And there's also been actually a new development that I'm gonna show, so stick around, it's gonna be fun. First of all, the Retro VGS, you already know. It's now called the Coleco Chameleon. Chameleon? It's truly a shame that the Coleco name is embedded in this fucking garbage of fraudness. But it's nothing to do with Coleco itself. Coleco doesn't do anything anymore. They just pretty much license their name, so they don't have anything to do with this. And also, all of these discoveries were done in the Atari Age forum, so I'm gonna link them as well in the description below, because these guys deserve all the praises for finding this out. They are very, very meticulous and also very good at spotting the bullshit that it is this fucking Coleco Chameleon thing. First of all, you know that these guys bought the Atari Jaguar molds to make the shell only, right? There's nothing Jaguar in it but the shell. That actually, there were some dentists that used this Atari Jaguar shells as well for dentist equipment. So now they're using this to make their own version of what is supposed to be the revival of the cartridge. And I know a lot of people that love retro gaming, that yearn for this cartridge era to come back. I know that they're defending this, but even if what these guys were proposing was actual and they had a working prototype, it would still not make any sense to come out with, because there are not gonna be any games for it. There might be at first 5 games or so, and it's gonna be, you know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be the Ouya all over again. And you might say, well, it's gonna play your old games. Yeah, but you know, the Retron 5 does that as well. We have a plethora of hardware that does this already. Plus, you can have always the original hardware. They couldn't do Kickstarter because they didn't have a working prototype, because Kickstarter requires that. So they went into Indiegogo and they were asking something like $2 million or so for, I don't know, fucking, it didn't make any sense for what they were asking for. I think like $80,000 were pledged into that, so they didn't make it. So now they want to go to Kickstarter, and they're actually asking for $300,000 or something like that. So it's a much more reasonable, still a lot of money. But for that, they need a working prototype. They bring one for to a toy convention in New York. It's actually the biggest one in New York. What happens is that these guys bring a fucking prototype. It's very clearly a fucking Super Nintendo 2, the Super Nintendo Mini, inside the shell of the Atari Jaguar. What are the things to look for? First of all, look at the fucking AV cable. Look at it. It's the same, right? The position of the power source and the AV cable is exactly the same as the Super Nintendo 2 as well. And also you have the fucking the power cable that has 2 split ends, that it's a very common power supply used for retro systems to power either like a Super Nintendo and a Sega Genesis. There, it's just the first red flag. The other red flag is that these guys are using a fucking CRT TV when they said it's gonna be only HDMI because AV out might have problems and gonna cost more. But it makes sense when you know that it's just a fucking Super Nintendo Mini inside of it, right? Controllers are the Super Nintendo controllers. You don't see the plug, the connector where you connect the controller, because it goes inside the fucking shell of the Jaguar, and everything's taped with electrical tape so that you don't see inside, but it's very clearly, again, a fucking Super Nintendo 2 inside of it. So at that point, I think it was clear to everyone that these guys were just not, they were not honest. So they show us a fucking Jaguar shell clear so that you can see inside of it. You see inside of it, you see a fucking PCB, and what happens? Again, in the Atari Age forums, great job, guys. It was a fucking old capture card. The PCB of a capture card. I mean, look at that. It's fucking the same one. Fuck you guys. You guys are a piece of work. You know what? Here, I'm gonna make you your fucking retro VGS. It's gonna be a working one. There. Perfect.